Alright, let me start this whole thing off by letting it be known I don't have trouble getting dates. I don't have trouble doing all the things that single people do. If I wanted to be married, I could legit up and get married today. All that being said, I gotta say, dating sucks. People's mindsets are just, they're jacked up. And I'm not gonna bash men, I'm not gonna bash women. I think there's a good bit of blame on both sides. I think that guys, we're part of the blame because we I mean honestly, a lot of guys aren't stepping up and doing what you know doing what grown people do. Um, as far as like playing women and taking advantage of um, their emotions, or like just sleeping with a whole bunch of chicks that you have no intent um, of ever really becoming something with. That's I mean that's not cool. Um, and I'm not about to get on a self righteous kick. I'm not gonna act like I've never entertained anyone who I knew was interested in me more than what I really had plans for them. You know, I mean, sometimes it's an ego boost. Sometimes you're bored. Sometimes you really want to give people a chance and see if they develop into something that you really didn't see them as initially. So I understand all that. But to me, you have to man up at some point and say, you know what, this isn't this isn't what this isn't going in the direction I think it's gonna go in. Or I don't feel like this is for me and you. Maybe I'm not cut out for it, or you're not cut out for it, and they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that they're not the person that you're looking for. Usually, you got to give them the whole some version of it's not you, it's me, blah blah blah, and it sounds cliche, but it's what you got to do. Whatever. Um, but the dating scene sucks, man. It's so hard to be. It's hard to be honest and upfront about stuff. I feel like things get done faster when you're upfront and open about stuff. I'll give you a personal situation. A couple of years back, I was dating this young lady. I met her somewhere, and I was slightly apprehensive to really say anything to her because I just recently come out of something, and I wasn't really looking for anybody. But the fact that she caught my attention, and I said, it's kind of rare that I just look and hear a woman, speak, and I just feel like I gotta talk to her. So I went on and did it, and she was receptive, and we talked, and we were honest up front, and she said some things that I just was like, yes. In one of our initial conversations, she was just off the charts, um, and I'm sure I said some things that you know that had her going too, and we ended up being together for a little while, and um, ultimately I had to make a decision. I was moving away, and I knew what she wanted. I knew she wanted to start a future with me. I knew she wanted to become, my wife. She wanted to be my lady. She had love for me. I had love for her. But at the same time, I wasn't too certain about what I was going to become. I was leaving. I was going to school. I wasn't absolutely sure about what direction I was going to go in as far as school. I didn't know how if I could handle the stress. I didn't know if I could, and it was professional school. I didn't know if I could handle the stress. I didn't know if I could handle the workload or anything like that. And I didn't feel like we were going at the same speed. Mind you, this chick she was perfect for me. Like physically, gorgeous, mentally, wonderful, spiritually, on the same page. But our timing was off, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I had to tell her, "Hey, I like you. I love you. I care about you. But I just don't. I got too much going on with me. I haven't worked some things out. I haven't I haven't got to the point where I can be what you deserve." And I know that sounds cliche, but I mean it's a real thing. And she didn't like it, but she was cool. She was cool after we stayed somewhat in contact after that. Um, and eventually she moved on. And the funny thing is, when she moved on, it kind of all came to me. I started catching up to where she was. But by then, she had always, as she said, she had already released me. She had already moved on. And I'm not sure if she was necessarily seeing anybody at the time, but she had moved on. And I can't do anything but respect that. That's the way it works sometimes. Um, but my point is, you just have to be honest with people. Um, I talked about the men. I talked about myself. I'll talk about women. There are a lot of women who don't know what they want, and at the same time, they're not willing to admit that they don't know what they want. Um, Once again, I'm not gonna get on some self righteous nonsense. Um, I was able to recognize that I didn't know what direction I was gonna go in. I wasn't sure of how things were gonna turn out, and I didn't want to bring somebody down that journey with me. I knew that. I've always been that type of person. I know what I know. I know what I don't know, and the things I don't know, I'm not ashamed to tell you I don't know it. I feel like I look stupid trying to act like I know something, and I really don't know it. I don't believe in fake it till you make it. I believe in work on it until you got it, and then do it. But that's just me. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of women that I know that I've come in contact with, that I come across who don't know what they want. It's uh, it's almost like I'll hear things like, I want a man who works hard, but you want a man that spends time with you. You want somebody who makes a lot of money, but you don't want somebody that's too concerned with money. It's like there's there's certain, you just can't have everything. You can't win everywhere. It's not gonna happen. Um, Even as men, when we decide to be in a relationship, we got to give up something. You know, that's just the way it is. Um, and that's my big piece of advice to women. Like you gotta know what you want. Like if you don't know what you want, you're gonna be in confusing situations. Your relationship status is always gonna be complicated because you're gonna end up staying places you don't need to be. You're gonna settle for things that you don't need to settle for. You're gonna accept things you don't need to accept because you don't know what you want. When you know what you want, it helps us out. Because when we know what you want, there's no excuse for you not getting it. At the same time, you need to be reasonable too. So those are some things that you want. Know what you want. Be reasonable in what you're asking for. Are you willing to give the same things that you're giving to him? Those are things to think about. Till next time.